there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please.
Am I here? I'm here. I'm out of focus. There we go. I apologise for the horrendous setup, the bad quality of the camera, and almost everything else technical and whatever I just did to that microphone. Double loud. Okay, hang on. That better? That better. Is that about right? Good. Yeah, I'm not a technical person, and Tim's setup is ridiculous. In the gaming and streaming world, I believe they call his setup triple Mons. A triple Mons setup. Is that better? Someone said I was quiet, so I tried to turn it up. But I am going into the red, which I meant to not do, am I not? Do I need to just get closer to the microphone? Better. Yes. This is what it looks like behind the green screen. Triple Mons, triple monitors. He has 3 monitors. And I only know how to use one of them. He has 2 computers, didn't know which one it was, so I turned them both on. There's a Stream Deck over there, didn't even touch that. Didn't have to call him at all, though. There's a pro. Realised the camera was plugged into the wrong computer. Sorted that out myself. Pro. Pinned a message. Haven't actually streamed in such a long time. Used to do it all the time. Was bad at it then too. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm just failing with the keyboard or if it's actually broken, but I cannot get it to do the @ symbol at all. It'll do other ones, which makes me think it's broken. Or maybe it's not where it says it is. 'Cause this is weird. Okay, so on his keyboard, let me even show you. Let me show you this. It is mapped weird. On his keyboard, it says that the @ is up here, right? You can see it. I'm really bad at knowing which direction I'm looking on the thing. It says it's there. It's actually there. Those 2 symbols I just switched round just to confuse me. Sabotage. Absolute sabotage. What is this madness? Yes. Thank you everyone who's come to join me today. Basically what happened was I was like, we've got 10 days to raise £10,000. That's a lot. We should stream every day. And then Tim was like, yeah, let's do that. I don't know why I trusted his brain, because neither of our brains work. And then I messaged Sam, and I was like, Sam, do you want to do a stream with us tonight? And Sam was like, I'm coming to your house to record my podcast tonight. And I was like, oh, but that's not in my diary, but it should be, because I was the one organising it. So I'll stream now. Because the other option was live streaming the recording of the Contrived and Insufferable podcast, which would be quite something, because what comes out is an edited version, and madness happens. But also, we hadn't told the guests that was what was happening, so that felt a bit mean. So yeah, this is what our room looks like behind the green screen. We don't come in here very often because I'll see if I can show you, but the light might cause problems. you can see is light. Oh wait, maybe you can see a bit. There is just so much scaffolding. So much scaffolding out there. So much scaffolding. And there's a good likelihood that, well, it's smaller now, but it's still technically within like construction hours. So we might just end up with some drilling or something in the background. Or, just some workmen out there listening in for free without donating to our crowdfunding campaign. Pezzy Cares, are they still building that thing? There is going to be works going on here until August next year, my friend. It's gonna be fun. Oh, you like them? I love these. My little Lucian yaks bought for me by Papa. Oh, I could turn that fan on. That'd be nice. I can see why he does that. It's hot. Did that work? Yes. Over in the corner, there's a big notice board. That is my novel planning notice board, which I bought before the building work started. Now I do not novel plan in here. I run away and spend all our money in cafes and eat cake. Speaking of novel planning, look at these bad boys. These are my writing notebooks. This one, for the first... Oh, come on, camera. Come on, camera. For the first time in the history of Amy liking writing, is actually full, like completely properly full. I didn't buy a notebook and then just leave it, or like fill a little bit in and then buy a new notebook. I actually finished a whole entire notebook. That deserves accolades in the writing community. It is big feelings, buddy. Pippa TV, you are correct. It is one of our wrestling signs from last year. We did not take them this year because we were too tired to carry them. I'm pretty impressed with myself, Obsessed. I don't think I've ever done that before. They're a very odd collection of things. This book starts with some short stories, and then it's many pages of let me see how many. This many pages of a story that I wrote for Chugs for his birthday. Then it's a lot of novel research. A lot of novel research. All of my notes from the Brandon Sanderson lectures that are online on YouTube, I highly recommend watching them. They are very helpful for anyone who does writing. Because of the nature of the novel I'm writing, there are notes on many different things, from dementia to 90s pop stars to food in the Netherlands, to what else is in here? Oh, those are all, and then like also a lot of different types of story arc. And then at the end, somewhere, we have some folklore notes from when I started looking at the podcast. I need to find the right things because I don't think you'll want to listen to all my other random notes. Although some of you might like listening to my notes on the Sunshine Grumpy trope because I feel like this is the kind of chat that would like that. Where are they? Where do they start? Nope. Folktales. Oh, there's only like a page and a half in here. It's all in the other one. Obsessed. I'm scared of learning how to write good and be confronted with everything I do wrong. So the nice thing about these Brandon Sanderson lectures is they're basically just lectures on how to write a novel draft. So it's all like world building, character building. What else does he do? He does world building, character building, plot building. So it's all like structure-y stuff. that gets you to the point where you have a plan you can work from. And he is also, like me, a planner, and not a pantser, as they're called. So his lectures work for me because I am a big planner. So it helps me to have a structure for planning. So yes, Verissima, you can get fries with satay sauce in the Netherlands and parts of Belgium. Oh my gosh, I love satay sauce. That would be amazing. I just tried to turn the stream down on my phone and somehow opened some kind of AI assistant just to prove how bad I am at technology. Yes, so the plan today, which I made in my very brain foggy haze of exhaustion from wrestling, 2 lots of wrestling in the last week, was that I'm just going to chat to you about some of the notes I've made, and some of the creatures that might come up in the podcast. I don't know. I'm just going to write them all up, and then we can choose when all 5 of us are together and planning which ones we want to choose and which ones we don't. I did check my library account so that I could tell you my sources as well. Also, just because I'm me and you know how much I'm a show and tell person, I need to show you this massive bruise on my leg. Ugh, can I get high enough? I don't know if I can. Hang on. Gymnastics time. Look at this bad boy. Look at that. It's awful. It's what wrestling will do to you when you're climbing. Don't get another bruise doing it. Yeah, I would do that. Oh, Mermaid has subscribed with Prime. They have subscribed for 2 months. Thank you very much. Whomping Willow, I missed the name of your lectures on drafting you mentioned. Could you repeat that? Yes. So they are done by Brandon Sanderson, the fantasy author. He did them as university lectures and has put all of them on YouTube. So if you just search Brandon Sanderson lectures on YouTube, you should find them. And he does like 2 weeks on character, 2 weeks on world building, 2 weeks on plotting, and then a bunch of other. He does some on publishing as well, which I haven't got around to looking at yet because I'm nowhere near thinking about that. But they're really good. They're really interesting. I found them really helpful. And they're going to inform the writing of the podcast as well, because one of the big things that he talks about is promise, progress, and payoff. That you need to be promising something to people at the start of your story. It's going to happen. You need to be showing them progress moving towards the thing happening, or they're going to lose interest. And then it needs to be paid off in some way at the end. So useful for podcast plotting, episode plotting, arc plotting. So yeah, definitely take a look at those. They're super good. I was going to fetch something. I was going to fetch the book that I own, that I have made notes from, because I think that's the one that's got notes in here. So, because I am not a great planner oh, come on camera, you can do it. Focus on my face. I don't miss this element of streaming. Hello. Oh, there I am. Because I'm not a great planner in terms of I didn't know I was going to be sharing this content. I haven't written down exactly what creatures and facts came from which book. But I'll tell you the books that I've been reading, and then if you want to go out and look for them, you can. So the first one is Storyland, A New Mythology of Britain by Amy Jeffs. This is the one that I own. So we've taken some stuff from this. There's a lot of stuff about like creation stories around the UK, how different, groups of people came over to Britain and fought with each other, etc. But there is some stuff about creatures within this book, so I pulled some stuff from there. The other 3 I got out of the library, and I should be... Oh, did I close it? Or is it under here? No, I did it on here. bums. I thought I'd logged into my library account on here and now I can't find it. Why would I close it? That makes no sense. Okay, let me just log back in. Library. My account. Here's my library card, guys. Go join your local library. Libraries are awesome. Oh, I am logged in. That's good. We got Tim to join the library the other day. Here's Tim's library card. He got his first library book out. Also, our local library is gorgeous and like a really good place to work from. And it has a business centre in it, which is very helpful for me as a solo business holder. Okay, here are the books that I got out and have read things from. So, English Myths from King Arthur and the Holy Grail to George and the Dragon by Michael Kerrigan. I seem to think that one had like 2 chapters at the end, one on fairies and fey creatures and one on like beasts and like boogeymen. Folk Tales of Song and Dance by Pete Castle, which had a lot of tricksy characters in it. And Woodland Folk Tales of Britain and Ireland by Lisa Schneidow. Hopefully I've pronounced all of those right. I can type those into the chat if people would like. I'll just go quiet because I can't talk and type at the same time. Oh, that's really cool, Casper, that your disabled bus pass allows you into the library. Type them in. Cool, okay. Let me just do that whilst also knocking the mic 20 times. English myths. Sorry if there's spelling mistakes in this. From King Arthur and the Holy Grail to George and the that's spelled wrong. Dragon by Michael Kerrigan. We have Folk Tales of Song and Dance by Pete Castle. And we have Woodland Folk Tales of Britain and Ireland by Lisa Schneidow. Really early on in concept meetings for this podcast, we decided as a group that we wanted to stick to English folklore and folk tales because we felt like other stories were not ours to tell. Hi, Pental. But it's very soon you find that all of these tales are very interlinked with each other. There are versions of similar tales in different cultures with different outcomes or slightly different characters. So it is difficult to do. But what I have been able to do with some of those books is pick out some specific locations where things happen. And that is probably what we're going to do in the podcast. There's going to be some visiting of specific locations. 1 second. Just need to send a message to a potential podcast guest for this week. I have been planning today. For different streams that are going to happen over the next 10 days. I haven't got my little spreadsheet in front of me, which says what's happening on which day. But I can give you a rough idea. So, let me find my little notes thing from yesterday when Tim was streaming and I was coming up with ideas. So obviously we've got the My Immortal stream. with Mr. Ben Meredith, which is happening on Saturday. Fun times. Pentel, we're going to have fun with that as well. We're going to do a stream on Sunday, hopefully, with Sam as usual, but featuring more Monty than usual. So that'll be fun. Tim and Sam are going to play FNAF at some point. We haven't worked out exactly what day that's going to be yet. We are going to have a stream with the lovely Imogen and potentially another guest, hopefully on Tim's birthday, which is Thursday this week. We're going to have a stream with the lovely Martin Pratt and Leah on the Friday. We're going to have Maddie in for a stream next week, which is going to be awesome. Chat a little bit about editing stuff, but also all of Maddie's other projects. And then in between that, we're going to have some really silly streams. We're going to do Tim doing a reaction to jump scares stream. We're going to have a chill crafting stream with just me and Tim at some point. We're going to build a train. We have a little bookshelf nook train thing, and we're just going to set up the camera so you can watch us make it, and we're going to chill out because we're going to need a chill day at some point this week or we'll die. And we're also going to do a stream at some point where Tim and I read AI-generated stories because we just find them really funny. And every now and again when we're overtired, we'll find them and then laugh until we cry and get a little bit hysterical. So that one will be fun as well. Can't tell you exactly what day all of that stuff is happening yet because my brain doesn't work. But it will be, I'll put the list out on all of the social media soon, and then Tim will have it to read out on future streams. Yeah, that was the plan, Verissima. Originally it was going to be FNAF, then Trains, then My Immortal. But then we realised that we couldn't do FNAF tonight, so it will happen later on. There were some questions up here. Someone said, who came up with the idea to do a folklore-based podcast, by the way? I mean, Tim and Ben are horrible goblins in real life, but still, Verissima. So it was Tim and Ben's idea. The concept behind the podcast was Tim and Ben's idea, and they asked Jenny and Imogen to be involved because it's so much fun doing stuff with that particular group. And then I went, no way you are leaving me out this time. It's not happening. I'm doing it. I'm in there. Let me in. Which then became very necessary because I don't work full time, so I can do project management stuff. But also because I am so into my research. So I think because I am involved, the folklore element will be a lot stronger and a lot more researched than it otherwise would be. Pentol, are there any specific species you're particularly digging into, or all of them exciting just to read about? I am reading about anything that comes up. Yeah. And then there are some that come out from that where you're like, oh, that really fits in with what we're doing, that we'll probably look into more. Like this first set of research has just been like, what is out there? How many creatures can I find? Can I find specific locations that they've been in? Are there plot-like stuff we can do? Is there stuff we can do? Basically, remember that all folklore is an audio storytelling, round the fire tradition. And it's humans that have told those stories. So it might be that in the podcast we find these creatures are actually slightly different, have different motivations than are recorded in these folk tales because we've only heard the humans' version of what they all do. And a lot of folk tales are built around the idea of explaining the unexplainable and dealing with a time when death was much more prevalent and much less predictable, and you needed things to make sense of stuff. So it's a lot of human sense making of phenomenons that they don't understand, and I'm quite interested in the idea of playing around with that. What is just our understanding because humans have told the story that way. Hi, Andrew. So that's my approach. But we'll see, because I've just been doing research, and obviously I am co-writing this wonderful idea with multiple other people. Awesome. Also, thank you, Jem. I will get back to you. So the first book that I read, there's got to be some stuff from Amy Jeffs in here that I've not found. Because the first thing is definitely from the Woodlands book that I found in here. I might have written it on different paper. There was a time when I got to the cafe and I hadn't got my notebook with me, and I wrote some stuff on the back of a novel planning document, so I've really got to go and find that at some point. Oh no! I highlighted from that book. That's what I did. I didn't write it down, I highlighted. Oh, thank you, fictional Pericles. So from the Woodland book, there was a lot of stuff about how folklore was written around wild wood, ancient woodlands that were rich in flora and fauna that we don't have anymore in the UK, or we have very, very little of. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to explain. There's lots of like ecological stuff around the way that humans have changed the world and the way that that's affected some of these folkloric creatures that could come into play here. Oh, thanks, Pentol. Yeah, the links are up there if anyone wants to donate whilst I am streaming. I would be super, super happy, because then I can rub it in Tim's face. And also for the good of the podcast, but also so I can rub it in Tim's face. Cool, so yeah, there's a whole load of stuff around there. Merlin comes up so much. There are so many stories that are just like, and then this bad thing happened, and then that bad thing happened, and then they went to Merlin, and Merlin fixed everything. So there's that. Some of these things are really random. I've got little bits, and some of them I've got full stories on creatures. Obsessed. Woodland creatures such as woodwoes, basically wood people, have inspired the Green Knight, among other things. Yes, I've definitely read some stuff about that. And they are mentioned in the epic. Oh, bye, Fairchild. He is the Fix-It Felix. He really is. He really, really is. He comes up in this book a bit as well, I seem to remember. So the first thing, and actually I tweeted or retweeted someone's post about herdsmen who were like painting their deer's antlers with fluorescent paint so that they were seen more clearly if they were crossing roadways to reduce accidents the other day. And it was because of this story, which is about ghost deer in the New Forest in Hampshire, which Tim and I drove through the other day. There is a story of a red deer who haunts an oak tree. It leaves footprints when it appears, but only appears when the death of a royal is near. And the speed it's moving denotes how soon the royal will die. That one's quite interesting. Oh, that was in Finland. Those deer having their antlers painted. There's Herne, I'm going to pronounce things so badly. Herne the Horned One. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. My writing is atrocious down here. God of the Wild Hunt. Obviously, Wild Hunt, we know, is a story that is told in multiple cultures. And I know this mainly because I read Witcher novels, which are obviously not set in the UK. He is said to protect the land of England from danger. So again, there's this idea around ecological preservation. He's said to have been seen in the Windsor Forest with horns on his head and a chain around his neck. He was an amazing huntsman, at one with nature, and once saved the king's life. He was framed for poaching by jealous courtiers and hung himself. I should have done a content warning before I started reading that, but I didn't get there yet. He rides a black stallion and commands a dozen hounds, all ghostly, with red eyes. And he carries a silver horn. Men who cross him find themselves losing their functions and risk the same fate as him. He follows the laws of the forest and not the laws of man. It's interesting. Hello, introverted cosplayer. We're going through some folklore. So I think something like that might come up at some point. And maybe some theme around what the different laws are, because obviously we're working in a council type setting. They're going to be laws, and there's probably going to be quite pedantic bureaucratic laws that we're dealing with, and how are they going to be different to what the human laws are, and are they going to be as convoluted and get in their own way? Probably quite likely. Have you not seen our pilot, Starry Dell? Our pilot is linked to in the pinned post on this chat. It's on multiple different host sites. I think we've got it on Acast, on Apple, and on Spotify. Linked to in that pinned post. There are a lot of links up there, so hopefully you can find it, because we also have the crowdfunder links in that post as well. Thank you for the 2 people who have pledged to the crowdfunder whilst I am chatting. Makes me very happy. So, Amy Jeffs. This is a thing I really like as well, that I've highlighted. This is not a creature. This is just an element of the storytelling mode of folklore, which I really like. It says, these tales are more than words on parchment and paper. Moments from them were also carved into stone, ivory, and the wood furniture of churches, painted into books and onto the plaster of domestic walls, woven into wall hangings and stitched onto linen. So I really want to build in, and I really like this idea of all these different methods of storytelling and how these stories have been passed down, and how this has happened in the Fey realm. How are different versions of these stories existing around the different creatures and humans, and, you know, are there going to be cases where goblins meet another creature and have got this really wrong idea of them, and actually there's a particular type of folkloric creature that has passed all of their legends down in a specific way. Cool, let me see. This one's a bit harder to read from because I have highlighted it rather than writing them down. There's a lot of stories about giants. Giants coming over to England, and again, this is another story that has different tellings that have these giants coming to Ireland or coming to Scotland or probably coming to European countries as well. But the idea being that giants came in this direction because it was cooler. And they craved a cold, wet place of respite. Some of this sounds like a little potential bit of racism towards African nations. So that will be an interesting thing to have a look into. Yeah. Gog Magog comes up a lot. Gog Magog you can find in fairy tales as well. Veresima, I love seeing Amy excited about folklore, mostly because it sounds like we might be getting a season 2. Honestly, it's really nice to talk about the basis and the setting and the world building, as opposed to, I've been doing a lot of the fundraising stuff, so it's just nice. It's nice to be doing the creative side of things. Foxglove Pal, mostly UK-based folklore. Yes, we're trying to stick at the minute to UK-based folklore. If we move away from that for any reason, we will need to be getting voice actors in from whatever place that we are talking about, and make sure that we are getting our facts checked on those stories. What else is there? Obsessed giants are also in the Green Knight. Let me know when you're done with mentioning the Green Knight. With me mentioning the Green Knight, I just have all this knowledge about it, mostly against my will. Absolutely not done with it. If you want to send me any knowledge you have, really happy to receive that. Pippa TV, I made a bypass sticker, but I can't share it. Oh, send us the link or something in to the Goblins email. We'd love to see that. Yes, Gog Magog. So Gog Magog comes up a lot. Tim is very excited about Gog Magog, so there's a good chance that some kind of version of Gog Magog will end up in the podcast, because it's captured Tim's imagination. There are many different stories and origin stories. The one in this book is about Gog Magog as a giant fighting the first Britons who arrived in England, or Albion as it was known at the time. It's also about both the giants and the humans wanting to lay claim to the riches that laid in the earth, such as gold and silver and iron, and that being what the fight between different species was about. Awesome, thank you, Odin's Pigeons. And then this idea that when the giants were defeated and they died, that they became part of the landscape, which you can see in lots of different Nordic stories about giants and trolls as well, that they become part of the landscape. So it says, the giants have stolen Albion, let their skin take on complexions of the earth, sinking into caves and hollows, burying their ancestral treasure, of which the Trojans knew nothing. And there's quite a lot of stuff about Cornwall. There's so much folklore around Cornwall. So much. Yes, like Hilda. That's exactly what I thought of, because I love the TV show of Hilda. I haven't read the books, the comics. Yeah. And also I think this is partly giants like camouflaging themselves to save themselves from being when they were outnumbered by humans. So it says one was thin and grey as fenland eel, another gorse-haired and bracken red as Snowdon, and yet another was white and undulating as the downland to the south. Their leader was like a boulder among pebbles on plains. Gog Magog, it was said, could uproot an oak tree as if it were a whip of hazel. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there, and then I skipped a lot because it was about Scotland. The world tree comes up a lot. This is very interesting to me. This idea of the world tree. Seeking knowledge, trading his this is Odin, trading his eye in return for a drink from the well at the base of the world tree. I cannot pronounce that word. Hanging himself from its branches for 9 windy nights to absorb the knowledge-bearing runes in its roots. I would love, basically Tree of Life kind of thing. And there are, yes, that's correct, Squidly Terrence. There are that one. I've seen roots from all over the world. There's versions of the world tree in folklore from all over the world. So yes, there may well be multiple different names for it as well, depending on the origin of a particular folklore tale. There is so much stuff in folklore which I did not realise about trees being alive, spirits of trees, spirits of plants, trees and plants talking to people, trees and plants intervening in disputes between people and animals. There's a huge amount of stuff about woodland basically being alive. It is cool, Pippa. Valkyries come up. Swan maidens who fly. They have a swan feather cape, which they draw across their shoulders, run across the water and beat their wings until they're airborne. Valkyries seem pretty cool, but it also seems like a very misogynistic story. This is another thing I like, where Amy Jeffs is talking about how craftsmanship comes into folklore so much. Pippa, if you have any suggestions for other books, please do send them to the Goblins podcast, or tweet me about podcast email, tweet us about them, because the more I can read and look at, the better. Absolutely. There are Valkyries in English folklore. I'm not quite sure where this one is set. It's medieval story. There isn't a specific location. Oh wait, it does say what lake it is. Wolfdale Lake. I might have to look that up to work out where it is. She's put, there's something about the high craftsmanship of a time before modern machines that sets the imagination whirring. It is against this hum that we should enjoy tales set in an age where artistry and dark magic were two sides of the same spinning coin. This is what's going to be really interesting, because we're telling folklore stories in a modern setting. So are our folkloric creatures going to have adapted the technology that humans live with, or at least adapted to being around it? Or are they still going to be living in a culture of this artistry and craftsmanship and importance of each individual thing and object, as opposed to the mass production age? Foxglove Pal, I'm guessing the Norse mythology came to England with the Vikings, or there are a lot of German and Nordic things that are basically the same, which would also make sense. Yes, it is basically, a lot of it is about how this lore has travelled as populations have moved to different countries, and then sort of taken on a life of their own and adapted and changed to fit in with the needs of the population who are retelling the story. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, just responding to podcast guests. And now we are sorted. Yes, there's a lot of adjacent things, Flamingo, with fairy tales and Greek mythology. The Band Brothers of Metal. Okay, that sounds cool. Mythology song sounds very cool. Squidly Terrence. I also have been started listening to a couple of episodes of the Lawmen podcast as well. Because not only do they tell some of the stories and different variations, they also cite all of their sources, which is very useful in terms of knowing other books to go and read. It's warm. Let's have a look. Oh, Bath. There was a lot of stuff about Bath. There's a necromancer called Bladud in Bath, who supposedly built Bath, the city, in England. And it says, Bladud was a necromancer using magic to speak with the dead, crouching beside the heated pools on cold nights. So Bath is a spa town, for people who don't know, so there are natural hot springs and things there. His magic was born by his priests in the cities and countryside until all the people could summon the dead. Interesting. An entire place. The town sits in a valley. Oh, this is a different one. Oh, no, it's not. The town sits in a valley and sometimes on wintry mornings can be completely submerged by a pool of mist. So we could do some necromancy stuff. We do have a town called Bath. It might be where we get the word. I think the Bath thing is Roman. Sorry, there's a ton of beeps going off on my phone. What else have we got in here? Have we got anything else, or shall I move on to another one? Dragons under Oxford. I really want to get some dragons in. I love dragons. I get very excited every time dragons come up in The Witcher. So it would be cool. I like this one. This is about fairies. So it says, Britain was invaded by a fairy race with such good hearing that they could detect any words caught by the breeze. Try as the people might, they could devise no plan to expel them without being found out. In the end, they came up with a plan which involved whispering the solution to their issues down the barrel of a horn. That way their words would be protected from the breeze. But then they found out that there was a demon in the horn, and they had to pour wine into the mouth of the horn to expel him, and they found out that he had been altering the words that had been whispered at the top. Sounds quite fun. That sounds like something Nyx might do. In the end, they make a kind of poison from magical insects that is safe for humans but deadly to fairies. And then he sprays it on everyone. This one's really weird. So they trap some dragons. And then they trap them by getting them to fall into a cauldron full of mead. And then when they drink the mead, they go to sleep, and then they turn into pigs. And then they trap them under the hills, and then they turn back into dragons, but it doesn't matter because they're trapped under the hills by then. There's a discussion here in Storyland about how there are many folklore tales that deal with the topic of invasion. One species invading another species' area and how it's dealt with, or someone of the same species encroaching on someone else's territory, because this was a problem within medieval life that people were worried about and dealt with a lot. So it's interesting where some of the themes of these things come out and how that could still link to like modern day, the encroaching of humans upon everything. Flamingo, there's a story where some guy can't build a castle because the red Welsh dragon and white English dragon are fighting. It sounds similar. What else have we got? Is there anything else in here? I think I got tired of this book after a while and switched to another one, so we can go back over here. Right, what I might do is we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I might have a little break and come back at 5 p.m. BST and read you some more of my notes from this book, which has the start of the zero draft of my novel in it. Hence there's bits of paper falling out because those are all of my notes. But it does have some good folklore in it. A lot more creatures in this one because this is from my other books. Oh my gosh, it's so hot in this room. I don't know how Tim does it. We just had another donation. Thank you very much. So yeah, anyone in the chat who has not listened to the pilot, have a look. The link is pinned up at the top. We've got multiple different sites you can listen to it on depending on your podcast listening preference. If you have listened to the pilot already and you are subscribed to an Apple account, Please do go and leave a review, because that helps us to reach more people through Apple's algorithms and advertising. And if you haven't checked out the crowdfunder, please do go and have a look. There's the link for the video we made at the start up there as well. Yeah. And I will see you all again in about 10 minutes when I've cooled down and got myself another drink. See you in a little bit, which hold scream I'm putting on this one.
Don't you fret, there's a new breakfast set. Gather the family and have what's usually for tea. Morning soup, it's not just for Jews. Morning soup, there's nothing wrong. Don't be a dude. Food for thought. Brothers Morning soup. We'll be back soon. Hang on, please. Hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, please. Hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, please. Hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. brothers' melody will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers' melody will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers' melody will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. The brothers' melody will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. nothing wrong. The brothers Meredith will be back soon. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please. Hang on, hang on, hang on, please.
That one? Yes. Is my sound right? I haven't like doubled myself up again or anything. Hopefully. Hello. Hopefully everyone hasn't disappeared and run away while I laid horizontal for 10 minutes and tried to get some blood back in my brain. It was great fun. Love blood in my brain. Real fan of blood in my brain. It's kind of necessary. I had a little maths time whilst I was chilling on the sofa. We are £107 away from the 60% funded mark. We are so close. £107 away from 60% funded. So thank you to everyone who has donated, but particularly to people who have donated whilst I have been streaming. I appreciate that very, very much. It's interesting for me as a chronically ill writer and creator, because I can't do normal work. So as opposed to other people where the podcasting is like an extra that people do, this is my work. This is how I make any income. So I am super appreciative of everyone who donates this. I know cost of living and all of this stuff is difficult, but as a disabled creator, it restores my faith in living in an ableist world to have people fund a project like this. We're talking about binning Tim. That is true, Andrew. And also, at some point, I need to donate to you because you are also fundraising, and you're fundraising for a very important thing, which is keeping Franklin legally in the country. So let's not forget that importantness. Let me move my notes so they don't fall over the floor. Also, hi, Erin. Me and Erin were messaging each other during the break. So, in the second two lots of books that I read, this is the folk songs one and the history one that was like from King Arthur to George. There are a lot more creatures. I managed to pick out a lot more creatures, but there are also themes still very similar to what we saw in the other book. So I'm going to run a lot more quickly through different types of creature now. Erin, Amy is going to test me for pots. Yes, I am. Not officially, obviously. I don't own a tilt table, which is a cruel way to test people. Just for people who don't know, if you want to get diagnosed for POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia, which is a condition in which you faint or get symptoms of pre-syncope, like shortness of breath, head rush, headaches, muscle pain, fatigue on standing, or moving position, or like me, you don't get super symptomatic when you stand up, which just makes you friggin' exhausted because your heart is going crazy all day and you don't realise. The way that they officially test you is they strap you to a table and then they tip you backwards so that your head is lower than your feet, and then after a while they just flip you up really quickly, and then when you faint, that proves that you have POTS. Right, Andrew? It is actual torture. I am an extremely lucky person who got diagnosed with POTS without having to do a tilt table test, because I was diagnosed in a clinical research study by a leading expert in POTS who basically did enough other tests on me and went, I'm not doing that to you. You're definitely going to faint. We're just going to put down that you have it, which I am very appreciative for. Yeah, exactly, Verissima. You have symptoms, you say. How about we check that out by turning them all up to 11? I really think they should have just sent me to the wrestling and then done all the heart rate tests on me the next day, because my POTS has been crazy this week. Anyway, let's talk about some creatures. So, trolls. Trolls, I haven't found a huge amount of different information for, because I've not looked up a lot of in-depth information. I need to look more into trolls than giants. Obviously that they're a lot smaller than giants, but they are also their appearance is linked to the environment in which they are in, like the giants are described. So they're often grey-green in colour. They have moss and earth on their skin. The one bit of different information that I have found is that trolls leave scorch marks in the floor where their feet have been. So that's interesting, and also speaks to this similar origin story potentially of trolls to giants, in that they are supposedly from hotter places and have travelled or moved. Apparently they also have foul breath. It's an interesting one. I feel like that would be the kind of thing where if we included it in the podcast, that would be like, that's a scurrilous rumour. Humans are mean. Or we could do a deep dive into troll dental care. That could be really interesting. Maybe there are troll dentists. What are troll dental methods? Do they have the same kind of teeth as us? I would imagine that their diet is very different and may be better for the teeth than the human diet of sugar. We shall see. Obsessed. I'm a troll. Actually, also, one of the symptoms of POTS is blood pooling in your feet. So my feet are always boiling. So maybe I'm a troll. Maybe I don't have chronic illnesses. Maybe I'm just a troll. And I should be allowed to let my feet burn through the earth. Another common theme within folk tales, I'm just thinking of a particular one, is animals speaking to you and giving you advice that will save your life if you follow it. And it's usually tests of avoiding temptation or moral virtues in some way. Like, you have to follow these rules that involve impulse control. And if you don't follow them, bad things will happen to you. And if you do follow them and listen to the animals, then you'll be fine. Or you'll get some kind of reward. Flamingo. And then they never follow it, but the animal saves their ass anyway. Yes. So, like, I read one story in which there were these fish in this well, and they gave this girl advice not to eat food created by fairies, which is a very common, that's advice. That's folklore advice. You don't eat food that people give you. Bad idea. They will use it to control you in some way. And she follows it, and she gets released and gets loads of riches and goes back home. And then her sister, who is jealous and impetuous, wants to go and do the same thing to get the riches that her sister has gained, but can't follow any of the rules and ends up being enslaved. So there's that. If animals speak to you, follow their advice. If people offer you, if anyone offers you food, don't take it. Piano sounds. I have everything muted, so I don't think the piano sounds are coming from me. Because everything is muted apart from the microphone. Anyone else hearing a piano right now, or is Andrew haunted? Obsessed. In The Green Knight, there's a talking fox, at least in the movie. Oh, I have seen that movie. But more broadly, the whole story of the epic is about a trial of honour where the hero has to resist various temptations. Yes, very common of moral virtues of the time. Again, we might throw some of these moral virtues on their head because many of these moral virtues are ableist. And Amy's not having that. So we might change what the moral virtues are that people are tested for. These tests have been updated. Can you not be a dick to anyone? But we shall see. The other story that I'm thinking of, I might tell it wrong because I didn't write it down, but I was telling Tim about it, was basically this one with this nightingale, where Nightingale is singing outside the window of a man, and he decides that he wants to catch the nightingale and put it in a cage so that he can listen to it sing whenever he wants. And he catches the nightingale, and the nightingale persuades him to let him go again. And you'd think that's like the moral of the story, is like you can't trap nature, like etc, etc. No, the nightingale then says, "Ha, you fool, you should have gutted me while you had me, I have gold in my belly," and just taunts him and then flies away. Took me by surprise. Didn't know that was where that was going. Not quite sure what the point of it is. Gut a bird when you have it in your hand? Don't know. Someone help me out with that one. Flamingo, diamonds and toads. It's an old lady in that one, but yeah, it's a very common thing in fairy tales I've read. In Diamonds and Toads, she helps a lady, and then as a reward, diamonds fall out of her mouth. And then her sister is mean to the old lady and gets punishment. Oh yes, yeah, similar to the fish story. Very similar. Also, so many of those moral virtue fairy tales. The pretty sister, handsome brother is the good one, and the bad sibling is fat, ugly, stupid, barf. Yes, absolutely, that is something we're going to turn on our heads. I have been looking at an account for a podcast called Feminist Fairy Tales, which I really want to look at, and they take fairy tales and retell them from a feminist point of view. So I would like to have a look at that and see how they change things and talk to them, because that might be interesting. Contrived pod live, and diamonds falling out of your mouth is not a punishment. Sariade, have you listened to it? Is it good? I saw they did an episode on the fairy tales of folklore stuff in Scooby-Doo the other day. Cool. So next we have pixies. The story that I read around pixies was set in North Devon. I feel like pixies might feature in the podcast. I feel like they fit quite well with the mischievous style of storytelling, because pixies are basically just very mischievous and they play pranks on people. So this is some workmen. They're out in a wooded area, and one of them leaves a tool behind from his workday, and he goes back to fetch it, and he's on his own in the woodland. Everything goes quiet. He starts feeling dizzy. He can't stand up straight. He feels like there's a heavy weight on him. He doesn't have pots. This is the other thing. Maybe I'm a troll and I have hot feet. Or maybe I'm just being constantly tormented by pixies, because all of those things are the symptoms of POTS. Feeling dizzy, can't stand up straight, and feeling like there's a heavy weight on you. Maybe, actually, let me try it. The cure for pixies is to turn your pockets inside out. Can't do it very well. But I'm going to turn this pocket inside out and see if my pox goes away. Oh, and brain fog. They cause brain fog. Just being tormented by pixies. Didn't realise this whole time. 7 years of being tormented by pixies, and all I had to do was turn my pockets inside out. Or turn your clothing inside out, so you can wear your jacket inside out as well. And that breaks the pixie curse. But basically, they don't do it because they then want to kidnap you or torture you or anything like that. They do it and then they just sit and laugh at you while you struggle. So yeah, pixies. I am very keen. Oh, Andrew is also tormented by pixies. Yeah, plagues of pixies. Just everywhere. Yeah, I'm also very, very keen to get some kind of ghost hound or fairy hound or ghost dog in the podcast. For obvious reasons, it's me and I like like dogs, sorry. Veresimus just put, the pixies tormenting Amy, watching her play a poltergeist tormenting a poor clueless woman, sweating nervously. Yes, I want some kind of ghost dog. I love the ghost dogs. They make me very happy. So I'm reading a book at the minute called The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. And it's set in a giant library, and one of the guides of the library is a big dog that doesn't really make any noise. It just sort of follows you around, and it's great. I love it immediately. I'm in. But ghost dogs, school dogs, representatives of the devil, often black. They're almost always black dogs. Off sometimes with red eyes. I think another one comes up later. Oh yeah, Black Shook. They are bringers of bad luck. Don't believe it. Don't believe it for a second. They are bringers of bad luck. And you're not allowed to thank them if they help you. They don't like it. Do not thank the ghost dog if it helps you. It will get mad at you. Black Shook is another version of this. Dog, shaggy hair, size of a calf. How specific. Calf as in baby cow, not portion of leg. Malevolently glowing red eyes, the size of saucers. Blood-curdling howl, signals impending doom and death. Can I pet that doggy? Again, Flamingo says, that's not huge for a dog. No, there are dogs that are that size. There are actual breeds of dogs that are that big. Maybe we'll have a ghost dog, but it'll just be like a big cuddly Bernese mountain dog. And it's like, brings you love. I feel like we need to redeem the ghost dog within this podcast. They are not bringers of bad luck. They're bringers of snuggles. Roomty says, don't thank the hell pupper? Sad face. Yeah, exactly. Poor pupper, just, why doesn't it want thanking? Also, if it's so evil, and it's a bringer of bad luck, how come it's done something that it needs thanking for? Right? Because that means it's been nice to you and it's helped you in some way. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to thank it. So this is contradictory. Actually, I think it's a real good pupper. Tree spirits. So I think someone mentioned something about tree spirits and had a specific name for them in the chat earlier. They come in different forms. This is a version that is something like the Woodman in Hilda. For those of you who haven't seen it, that's a little actual person made out of wood, about knee high. They grant wishes, and they appear when trees are in danger. So again, it's a protector of the land kind of thing. woodwoes, that's what I heard earlier, and dryads, but I've heard many different tales about dryads, because sometimes dryads are human-like. Flamingo, the dog's just very humble. Maybe it's not meant to help you, so it doesn't want you to thank it, because like the devil will get mad at it, and if you thank it, then the devil will know it's been helpful. Lily Rose, I wandered off for a second and thought you meant the Lorax. It's the same idea, like the spirit of a tree and protector of the tree. It's a very similar idea to Lorax. Like Flamingo, it's not the Lorax. Now, I have watched that film a few times, and I think the reason I enjoy that film so much is just because of the How Bad Can I Be song. The Gurt Worm. The Gurt Worm. Great worm. Gurt is a Somerset term, and I first came into it, it means great, but I first came in touch with it with a friend of mine at university called James, who was from Somerset, and he used to say Gertlash all the time. Gertlash, innit? Obsessed again. The Lorax is a test of your morals and honour. This is an interesting one. It's a massive worm. We've had discussions amongst ourselves, me and Tim, having read this story, about whether this is the kind of worm that is the precursor idea to a dragon or not. But it doesn't seem like it. It's just a real big ass worm. It's as wide and tall as 3 oak trees. It eats ponies and sheep, and has been known to eat people if there aren't enough animals around. And it looks like a fallen log. Now, the interesting thing about the story that I read about the great worm is that no one would go into this wood because there was a great worm there and it would eat you, or it would eat your pony. And then the guy who went in there and actually killed it went into the wood, sat on it thinking it was a log, and then it kind of came to life, and then he just like hacked it to death with an axe, and that was it. So a little confusing as to how dangerous this big worm is, and whether it's just that people who had come across it weren't carrying any weapons, or just panicked and tried to run away and the worm was faster than them and no one attacked it, or whether this guy who does kill it in the end is kind of superhuman. I don't know, but it was a kind of confusing story because everyone was like, don't go into that wood, the worm will kill you, and he was like, alright, and then he just killed it really easily. Bye, mermaid. Obsessed. He's like a Jack Timbo. Yeah, there's something there that's not. There's something about that story that's off, and it would be quite fun to retell it and work out what that thing is, because it doesn't make sense. Like, was there ever a worm? Has this guy just gone in there and then there's no worm and he's like, oh, I killed it. And then he was just stealing people's sheep and ponies. Maybe. Who knows? A boggle or a bogle, I'm not quite sure what the pronunciation is, almost certainly has to be in this podcast. I have made a specific story request for how it's included, which I am not going to tell you right now in case it actually ends up in the podcast. But it has to be in there. Bogles are related to boggarts and goblins. Their aim is to annoy humans. Usually, they hang around the countryside feeling slightly confused. They could be friendly and helpful, but are loud and argue a lot. They're very strong. They live in rocky caves covered with fungus, ivy and slime. They are half human height and as broad as they are tall, very stooped and very fast. Foxglove, it's Tim. Tim's very tall. But yeah, it just sounds funny. It's they hang around the countryside feeling slightly confused. Could be friendly and helpful, but are loud and argue a lot. They're strong and fast, but they're also like as broad as they are tall. That's just too fun not to include. Lily Rose, roll it down a hill. I'm gonna try and down my tea quickly. So, there are a lot of stories that are based in Cornwall. Part of the reason for this is because Cornwall was one of, if not the last place that was Anglo-Saxonized, and so kept a lot of previous culture and storytelling for longer than other areas of the UK. So in Cornwall, there were some more stories about fairies and pixies. I have some mermaid stories from Cornwall, but they're not in this book, so I just need to see if I can find them. 1 second. Oh gosh, this chair is very tall. These are all my plotting notes for my novel. And one of these, somewhere, I've written all of the sorry, just checking what time Chugs is streaming. I've written all the mermaid notes because I'd forgotten my book that day. So I've got to see if I can find them. Here we go. I found them. Is it just that page? Looks like it. Organised. Right. West Cornwall, specifically. Oh, okay. I was just looking at what notes were on the back of it, so that I don't lose them. So, in this story, a mermaid is discovered by a man because they hear a sound that sounds sort of like singing, sort of like wailing, and sort of like a child crying. And they find a mermaid in a rock pool, and she's got stranded in this rock pool when the sea has gone out. Stranded. And she's naked down to the waist. She has a tail, and she has very long hair, and it covers her boobs, and he's very upset that he doesn't get to see her boobs. That's specifically mentioned in this story, that he is frustrated, that he thinks when he lifts her out of the rock pool he's going to see her boobs, and he doesn't because her hair's too long. The mermaid knows many languages, has exceptional hearing, and a love of music. He carries the mermaid back to the sea, and she tries to convince him to come back to her underwater kingdom with her, and he is sort of entranced by her, and he wants to go, and then he remembers he has a wife and children, and he's like, no, no, I can't go. I can't leave my family. And she's like, all right, I'll go. But in 7 years, I'm going to come back and I'm going to get you. And 7 years later, he's fishing. And she comes back and he disappears. And once every 7 years, a member of his family disappears into the sea. One of the facts that is given about mermen in this account is that they eat their children, and that's the reason why there aren't many mermaids. The reason they're rare is because the mermen like to eat the kids. They can grant wishes. So this mermaid grants this man 3 wishes. And they're good wishes. He picks things that will help his family and his neighbors and his community. But there seems, which maybe is the reason why she lets him go for 7 years before she comes back and gets him. But it's not clear in the storytelling that that's like an exchange. But they make it very clear that they feel like this man is making good choices with his wishes. So yeah, that is the information that is given about mermaids in this story. Verissima, I was doing a Google because I wasn't sure if I remembered right that the Cornish language was basically forced into extinction thanks to Anglicisation. Turns out I remembered right, but glad to report there's been revival attempts and there's a few hundred speakers now. Oh, that's really good to hear. Oh, hi Alia, I'm glad that you can fully listen in now. So that was, I'm just going to put this back so I don't lose my plotting notes. But that was mermaids. Oh, and they also don't age. That's the other thing I've written down here. Mermaids don't age. Next we have the Spriggan. The Spriggan is squat, ugly, and grotesquely old. It's associated with old things, ruined houses, derelict farm buildings. It's obnoxious and malicious and can change the weather, collapse buildings. They can change the weather, collapsing buildings, or send pests to ruin crops. They also swapped mortal infants for changelings. So this was very similar to the things that this Spriggan are doing are very associated with like plagues in the Bible and that kind of thing. Very similar, like destruction wrought in huge ways and swathes against whole villages or populations. Molly, I'm late typing this for the dog portion of the chat, but for the first hour you kept me in the dog company on our walk. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad. I hope it was entertaining. Just reminding everyone who now has access to the chat, we have got the link to the crowdfunder and to the podcast pilot pinned up at the top. So if you are able to give or share, please do so that I can spend more of my time researching folklore. Don't even make me attempt to read Welsh, Violet. Have you heard of the... No, I'm not even going to try and say it. They're Welsh water spirit creatures which look like big frogs or toads with bat wings. That's really cool. I have not heard of them before. I would look them up, but I can look them up because potentially we could have a Welsh creature and do an episode in Wales and bring in Erin or Andrew. So that is a possibility. I don't have any moddy... hang on, do I? I don't have my mod thing open. And I need to debot. Erin, are you still in chat? It's annoying that I can't just do it from here. I'd have to open mod view. Oh, I might be able to do it on my phone. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Oh, that's for the Welsh stuff. Let me see. Let me see. I don't think I can do mod view on my phone, can I? How bad can I be? How bad can I possibly be? Oh, okay. I can delete it on my phone. I can. I'm having the same loading problem. Hang on 1 second. Let's just do it this way. Come on, phone. Network error. You did it a minute ago. Now I'm opening random apps. Very unhelpful. Right, let's try again. See if this network error has stopped. Oh, has someone else dealt with it? Because it's not on my phone. Yeah, it's still up on my... Still up on my thingy. But it's not here. On the phone. Yeah. Hopefully that means someone else has deleted it. No, it is. It was there a minute ago, but it's now disappeared. Oh, wait. It's like a little arrow next to it, a little sword next to it, but it won't let me click on it. Everyone ignore the bot, because Amy can't access it right now. I could probably do it on here, but Tim's computer annoys me. Log in. Oh my goodness, you have to do like an SMS confirmation and everything else. Okay, we're there. Oh, I need to mute myself to avoid the double thing. Go away. Mod view. Mod actions. Now we have to see if I can actually find it, because I can't see the back chat. What was it called? Sod it. I can't find it. We have to ignore the bot. JHE. No, I can't find it because I didn't have it open. I've got it open now. If there are any more bots, then then I will manage to get rid of it. But I can't do this one. All I've done is managed to... Right, there we go. Where did we get to? I'm sorry that took me so much time. I'm so bad at the technical side of streaming. So, we got to Spriggan's. Knockers. We're on knockers now. Knockers look the same as Spriggans, but they're actually nice. And what knockers do is they are in mines underground, and they look out for miners and keep them safe. And they're called knockers because they make loud banging noises as they move around. And miners were known to leave parts of their lunch out for the knockers as a thank you for keeping them safe. Then there is some conversation in one of the books, I believe it is the King Arthur one, about how over time, with modernization, fairies and fae became less of a terrifying, malevolent presence, and more of a delightful little skippy creature, because the things that people were scared and worried about, that the stories of fairies were told to make sense of, had started to either disappear because of modernization, or they were understood more. And so things that were attributed to fairies and other creatures were no longer attributed. And so the stories of fairies changed into the kind of children's fairies that you see. And some of that was popularised through the works of William Shakespeare and fairies in stories such as Midsummer Night's Dream, Tim's Home. And that's why we see these two different types of fairy, good fairy and bad fairy, within storytelling. So yeah, that's interesting. Supposedly, the more modern you get, the less dangerous fairies are. There's Jack O'Kent. Jack O'Kent's a fun one. He would make contracts with the devil and then find ways to outwit him. For example, he got the devil to build him a bridge across the river Mono by promising the devil the first soul to cross the bridge. And then when it was built, Jack started walking across the bridge, and then he threw a stick for a dog to follow, and the dog ran across the bridge first, and so the devil got the dog's soul and not his soul. Yes, that's correct, Verissima, Jack O'Kent. And this is linked into a lot of stories around the devil and death and judgment, as we've talked about before, and escaping moral judgment. These particular stories were ways to avoid moral judgment. There's stories of imps. These ones specifically in Lincoln, imps being sent by the devil. They vandalized until they were turned into stones by an angel. That's the only appearance of an angel that I saw in any of the stories. Obsessed, sad for the dog, but glad dogs have souls in that story. Yeah, I felt sad for the dog too. There's witches. Again, similar to fairies, there are varying stories about whether witches are malevolent and dangerous and evil and spread misfortune, or whether they're healers and they create medicine and are more in touch with nature, depending on when and where the story is from. Grindilo, which I can't try not to say in the French accent. Water dwelling, have long sinewy arms for reaching out and grabbing people, and they are notorious for drowning children in bogs and pools. Then there's very similar creatures that live in bogs and pools and pull vulnerable people in. Depending on the area, they have different names. So in these books we had Ormskirk near Liverpool. The creature was called Jenny Greenteeth, which is one that Tim mentions a lot. In North Yorkshire and County Durham, it was Peg Powler. And then in Malham, Yorkshire and Shropshire, it was Nellie Longarms. All women. All women. The hairy hands is something that Tim's dad mentioned to us when I was doing this research when we were with them. It's a specific road. Happens on a specific road in Dartmoor that goes, it's circular and it goes around the edge of, I think, like a national park area. And it's, the hairy hands are hands that appear and grab your steering wheel of your car and cause you to crash. And the idea is that this has come from the various bumps and dips in the road that suddenly make your car veer, and it feels like someone's just grabbed the steering wheel and sort of steered it. But that was in the sort of section on various things grabbing you from different directions. Ghosts. There are ghosts in different places. There was a bit about theme-wise about... I'll do that in a minute. And then the last creature or folk figure that I've got written down here is Spring-Heeled Jack. And the reason he's notable is because he is a rare folklore character who appears in cities rather than in the countryside. A lot of the folklore is set in the countryside and wilderness areas and part of the nature. But Spring-Heeled Jack is a rare one, and there are stories of him in cities including London and Liverpool. He's 10 foot tall with springs in his heels that mean he could jump over streets of houses. He wears a big black cloak, sharp steely claws, and breathed blue and silver flames. He sounds pretty fun. So yeah, I want to look more into that one because, like I say, it's the only one I've seen that is set in a city. And then just a couple of last thematic things that I've written down from one of these books says, folk stories often acknowledge and respond to the rhythms of life and growth and the cycle of the seasons. So that's going to be an interesting thing given that we've set ourselves a certain time period from when Elizabeth turns up, so many weeks until Beltane. We'll move through at least a couple of seasons, so it'll be interesting to see how what we do is affected by what season we are in. And I need to look that up and make sure we have a proper timeline of that. And then the last thing says that folklore stories are less about detail and individuals and more about broader themes. Birth and death, youth and age, love and marriage, trust and betrayal. That to me sounds like wrestling. Just saying. Broader issues of existence, and they focus on archetypes rather than individual characters. And like I said earlier, that's kind of where I'm interested in questioning where the human record has got these archetypes wrong and right, which we've already done in the pilot a little bit with the goblins being affronted and questioning Elizabeth in some of her assumptions about goblins. So yes, that will be an interesting thing to have a look at. Is the wild hunt a thing in UK myths? It has come up, Foxglove Pal. It has come up in specific areas. We spoke about it earlier about the head of the wild hunt being a hunter who was a living man to begin with, who was a particularly good huntsman, but more in line with nature and not necessarily happy where the king's laws crossed nature. And he got framed and killed, and then afterwards became the head of the wild hunt with his pack of ghostly hounds, and his role was to protect nature from humans. Yes. Yay, I'm glad this is fascinating, Alia. I've really enjoyed reading about it. And I look forward to reading more stuff and doing more research. After this 10 days of streams, and once the crowdfunder is done, and once I have finished doing all my work around the budget and what money's going where and how it's being used, I will definitely, hopefully, have more time to do some more research and type all of this up to make sure it's available for Ben and Tim and Jenny and Imogen to use in our plotting and writing. So that will be something to look forward to after a lot of crowdfunding work. Are you coming in to say hello, Timothy? Thank you again to everyone who has given donations during this stream. As I said, we are £107 away from 60% funded now. So super, super close. We're going to have streams every day for the next 10 days. So we've got 10 days left in the crowdfunder. We've got just under £10,000 to raise in that time. Someone said earlier how many episodes are funded at the minute. So kind of based on our... Tim just changing the vibe immediately.
Sorry.
Based on the way I've kind of estimated the cost of an episode, we've kind of funded by now the pilot, because we paid for the pilot, we paid for the editing, we paid for the artwork, we've paid for the transcript, out of pocket, the 5 of us. So the podcast, the pilot, and then we're getting near to the point where 5 episodes are funded. So we've got 3 left to fund, ish.
So unless you want it to just sort of really start getting to the finale, and then should we go?
Just ends.
It's just like a small, like a note on me on a bad microphone, being like, "Unfortunately, we couldn't do those." So anyway, thanks very much.
It's basically the last 3 episodes will just be Tim on his own with no budget and no editing, just trying to beat every. Yeah.
Jenny would have. Now, obviously, Jenny's got this stone now, so Jenny would take the stone through to the portal.
So that's kind of where we're at. Obviously, it's a lot of money. We are trying to raise a lot of money, and we're aware that we are constantly talking to the same audience about raising a lot of money, and we really appreciate all the donations and support that you've given, and sharing and sending the pilot to people, putting reviews on any reviewing platform that takes them. We know Apple does, is very helpful for us.
Weirdly, Reddit has turned out to be a very fertile ground for us. The Magnus Reddit.
But
quite useful.
It is necessary. Like, we haven't just like plucked a massive figure out of nowhere. We are paying 5 voice actors and writers, guest actors, an amazing editor, a project manager / producer, because if I have to keep doing it, I'll die. I will die. Marketing, which basically I've been doing for free for... Oh, that's Sam. I've been doing for free so far. Transcripts, art from Andrew, Specky Ferret, music, probably other things. It's an expensive thing to do. And we want to make sure that everybody is paid properly for it. Hence the amount of money we're trying to fundraise for. Oh, look, a Sam. Hi, Sam. I totally didn't forget about this at all. Completely knew that this was happening and that we were doing... Yep. Completely knew we were doing a record tonight. Right. Absolutely. On it. On it. And as we said on stream yesterday, unfortunately, Sam is the last person on our list of people to pay. So if we don't raise the full amount, Sam gets nothing. That's just the rule. Sad face. Sam has legs.
In fact, we'll bill Sam.
Oh, yeah.
No!
It's so unfair, but it's what's happening.
Fox Love Pal is very shocked by the fact that Sam has legs.
I do.
Look at them.
I've had them
You've had them for a while.
the whole time. Yeah.
I did get my bruise up on screen to show
I
everybody,
bet you
because
did.
that's a very me thing to do. Just to remind people about the streams we have coming up, I can't remember the order of any of them, because I've literally just organised this with people today. But on Saturday, we will be having the My Immortal stream, where Ben is reading My Immortal.
Looking forward to that one.
It's going to be interesting. On Sunday, we will have another Sam and Tim stream with added Monty in some form. And at some point, these two are going to play FNAF. We haven't quite worked out when that one's going to fit in yet. On Tim's birthday, we're going to have a stream, hopefully, with the lovely Imogen Harris and James Ross, which will be super fun. We'll probably just be chatting and having fun whilst Tim plays something. I'm not quite sure yet what the format of that will be, but we will have those lovely people joining us, and maybe a Jenny Houthek. But Jenny wants to join on her phone from a festival, so that could just be amusing, because we could watch drunk Jenny wander around a festival.
And it just cuts out and freezes.
Yeah. So that could be entertaining. Yes, we have a James.
We know James.
We know James. He's our friend. The day after that, on Friday, we have a stream with the lovely Martin Pratt and Leah. I can't pronounce her surname, or will pronounce it wrong, which is a continuation, really, of Tim's birthday stream, because we couldn't get everyone free on the same day.
Double birthday.
And we will probably play some very silly and inappropriate games with Martin and Leah. We're going to have a stream with Maddie next week with our lovely editor, Maddie Searle. So I have yet to get Tim and Maddie to talk to each other and decide what they're going to do. But Maddie also has...
No, we had a fight.
Maddie also has lots of other lovely projects that they're working on. So we can hear all about those as well. And then in between that, Tim and I are going to do some silly little streams. We're going to build a train. Tim, do you want to go fetch your train to show everyone?
Go away, Sam.
Tim is also very excited about the stream setup for that, because it's going to involve multiple cameras so that you can see what we're doing. And at some point, we're probably going to do some stream where we read some AI-generated texts, like the Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure novel, which we have done before on a do-it-ourselves stream, but it's just so funny that we can't not. Oh yeah, Bonsai Gem says, or Perry. Perry Periwinkle is Leah, as some of you may know. So we have 10 days of awesome streams lined up for the last 10 days of this fundraiser, whilst we are trying to raise the last £10,000. This is Tim's train that we're going to build.
Little train bookshelf thing. It hasn't got a very good image of it. Hang on, you can kind of see it there. Like a little bookshelf segment with a train.
Tim and I have built one of these before, and we only nearly argued twice, and it is about who gets to build the best bits. You're getting all the fun bits, and I'm just putting together these side bits, and it's not fun.
But for a face, I'm Amy Dickinson.
It was you, it wasn't me. You were the one that was getting annoyed.
Oh, come on, Captain Minigolf.
Shush. I only threw it once. I only threw my golf club once. Tim and I are not allowed to play minigolf unless my brother is there as the arbitrator.
We need a buffer. Because I take the rules very seriously, and Amy wants me to change the rules at her whim.
Tim's birthday is Thursday, so his official birthday is on Thursday when we're streaming with James and Imogen, but we will be continuing the party on Friday with Martin and Leah.
Big double B.
Our stream's going to be at a specific time every day, so we are aiming at 7:30 starts for these streams. I will confirm once we've got everything a little bit more set, because I've only asked a lot of these people to be involved today. So once we know when people are free, when they're finishing work, etc., I can confirm that. But yes, we are looking at 7:30 starts. Andrew, we are so going to mini golf sometime. Amy, are you the younger sibling as well? Foxglove pal, what gave it away?
Andrew, do you want to fall out with us at mini golf?
What gave it away?
There's mini golf at the Marine, isn't there? Is that place still there?
Yeah. There's a couple of places to do mini golf. Some of them are really bad.
Yes, so I will put together a little agenda of all the different streams and what days they're on and when they're happening, when my brain is functioning and I've got confirmation from everybody. At the minute, I've got like 10 people saying, send me a calendar invite. And I'm like, my brain, My poor brain. Pippa, I'm impressed
giving
you've
up.
gotten so much together for streams so quickly. Me too. I had to stop at 11 because I was getting days wrong because my brain was so tired and fuddled, and I went and read my book for a while and had a nap, and then I continued because I was getting it wrong. I am a powerhouse. Thank you, Andrew. Cool. So we are going to go. We will see you tomorrow for, I think, our AI generated text stream. Now this one is probably going to break the rules and be earlier than the others
Already 4 in the past.
because I said let's do 10 days of streams. The first day of these streams I forgot we were doing a podcast recording.
Yep.
The second day, Ben, who undermines all of my plans, he sabotages me at every turn. That
Because he hates you.
Glenn Meredith, because I'm stealing his spotlight, I'm usurping him as the most popular person on this channel. I mean, that happened a long time ago. Has booked a birthday meal for this guy, so they're going out to celebrate Tim's birthday. I wasn't invited.
No one else invited. It's just me and Ben. Just the boys.
So we're gonna try and
Go to a strip club.
we're gonna find out what time Ben has booked this meal, and then probably do a short stream before they go out. Do you know what time he's booked the meal?
Nope.
Okay, so we're gonna find out what time it will be, and then I will tweet it. So it's very likely that we're gonna be doing our AI silly stories stream tomorrow.
Birthday mule. No,
and
birthday meal.
It
No, it's
might
a birthday mule. It's when a donkey and a horse fuck
might be quite.
for your birthday.
Your birthday. Your prize is a hard-working animal.
I'm so sorry, Amy.
I'm not doing the recording today. I need a break. In an hour, I get nice chugs time. And they can be mad in this room, and I will go and watch chugs and build agendas on Canva. As is my life now.
This is your one.
Thank you everyone who's joined me. I've really enjoyed talking folk tales and folklore with everybody. All of you who gave me different stories and told me about books to read or stories to read. Again, I would like to ask if you can send me the names of those books or stories on Twitter or to the Goblins podcast email. And then those are things that I can look into further once the crowdfunder is finished and I have time to do some more research. Our email address is podcastgoblins@gmail.com. I'm going to see if I can type that in. podcastgoblins@gmail.com. There we go. Oh, I hit the microphone again. That's like the 10th time this stream. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you've all enjoyed it, and we will see you tomorrow. Follow and listen to Contrived and Insufferable. They have a new episode coming out soon that we're going to go. Oh, that makes a weird noise. That we're going to go and record right now. Bye bye, friends.